Friends, cheers. My coffee, my Snoopy mug here. Cheers. What a fantastic day we have seen in the market. Big Bear, what are you doing here? This is crazy. Yeah, really excited about what's going on in the market here. Obviously, Richtech. I mean, my God Almighty. Let's talk about these two stocks. They're going crazy. Market again surged to all-time highs again today, and obviously was a big AI day. And this is the argument that's still continuing with bears and bulls right now, where, the bears are going, well, this AI bubble, it's an AI bubble, and it can't continue. Well, the bubble's getting bigger and bigger here. Obviously, it will explode one day, but, I don't know that it's anytime soon. So today, OpenAI, Sammy, made Trump's market here, the train, the market is around, the Trump train market here, is continuing to go crazy. AMD and OpenAI came to an agreement with this deal today, and this is what has made AMD surge. I mean, look at what happened. Have you ever seen anything like this? Take note and look at this right now. This is insane. $160 stock, 65 on a good day, jumped to almost $240. Obviously sold off a little bit, and obviously there will be some sell off here, but God in heaven, look at that. I mean, that is insane. So listen, I have been out here spewing my mouth about, support and tech and all that, but this is freaking crazy. This is wild. Like, this is such a like trying to get somewhere before it's even happened. So OpenAI, I mean, obviously Sam, this is one of the most popular situations going right now in the tech world, and when this guy talks, people listen. But two, it has driven up the market once again. So, right now, it's interesting because, the feds are talking tomorrow, which this could go either or, God knows what Jerome Powell is going to say. But we could get somewhat of a understanding of what can happen with the rate cut at the end of October here, potentially. Depends on what the Feds say here. And, Jerome Powell can either say something real positive, would it kill him? Or he could say something real negative to crash the market again, like he did a few Tuesdays ago at this point. Let's dig into it. I'm going to take another big sip of coffee here, and I am going to crank up, and we're going to talk about what's going on today with these stocks. Here we go. Okay. Big Bear today. Oh my God. Big Bear trying to get in this $8 position again today. This is amazing. So Big Bear's doing what it's first of all, this area where Big Bear is at right now, this is the comfortable position right now with Big Bear. But today too, look at this huge freaking swing trade that happened here, Big Bear. So market open, it shot up to $7.86. Okay, then on that, it sold down around noon to $7.34. Then it shot back up end of the day here to 770s here, low 770s. Talk about a swing. Talk about a huge money volume, everything. Good God Almighty, that is wild to see that. So, but Big Bear, this is what Big Bear does. This isn't anything new. If you just got here with Big Bear, this is kind of normal behavior. And right now, this $6, like our worst days with Big Bear, that's normal. $7, $8 range, this is kind of the new normal. But what we're seeing right now, Big Bear is very much in this very healthy position right now, very, very much so. And this is what is so interesting because, and I've talked about this, if you look back at, the end of June going into July, where Big Bear was running off that $7, $8 position back at that moment, we had that dip, and charts are almost looking the same here, which is crazy. Right above Kevin's head here, and then look over where I've got this circle right now, this circle. It's really interesting, but this stretch of time of what we're looking at right now, it could last a lot longer because we could be looking at progression right now in the market. It's really going to determine a lot of obviously what the Fed's going to say here. And two, the market's in such a weird position right now because, the government shut down. Every day they keep extending it. So it's like, oh, it's going to be, and they're like, whatever. But two, in the job reports, I don't know when, we're not, I don't know when we're going to see the job reports. We may not. The Fed just may go like, we're just going to do this next 25 base rate cut here at the end of October. And two, it's a very special moment at that time frame because that's when all of these companies will be releasing quarterlies. Okay, so we will be seeing quarterlies be released here with a lot of our tech stocks. So Big Bear's in that conversation. I've said this, I'll say it again, and I've seen a lot of you comment and be positive for me saying this, and I thank you. But there's going to be people that hate that I say this. There's going to be people that are glad that I say this. But I would say, if you're comfortable taking profit with Big Bear before earnings, right now I would say that's probably your best bet. Okay. Now, the fury of the next 3 weeks in the market, I think it's going to be very manipulated, very violent, up and down positions here. But with that, there more than likely will be a past episode of what we've seen with Big Bear continue into the rest of this month, where Big Bear will continue to play around this $7, $8. And it's really interesting because Big Bear's looking for an $8, $9, $10 range, and we haven't seen $10 in Big Bear since the beginning of the year. So this is very, very, it's very entertaining. I think that's what word I'm looking for right now. It's very entertaining. And two, this is interesting because I know a lot of people are swing trading Big Bear right now and making tons of dough off this. So it's really, I love seeing people do well in the market. I really do. I love that. I love when people make money and do well because that's what the market's for. I think everyone gets into a position in the market where they go like, I love long-term trading, but I also too like to, take money out of the market. And there's plenty of movement with Big Bear, especially where there's swing trading. Today was a great example of that. And Big Bear's holding this high $6, $7 position right now. What's interesting is that if it kind of continues in this, this build, this structure right now, this new little staircase forming here of this next big camel hump, that we could see it swing up into this $8 position, which is really interesting. But I think too, it's really hard to say that with like clarity and being positive with that because, I don't know what the Feds are going to say. I don't know. Jerome is talking here, and I don't exactly know what he's going to say. Obviously, the last time he talked, he said terrible things, and it shook the whole market. So I'm hoping, I'm hoping he doesn't do that again. I really don't, because there's some positions that I'm like trying to see go a little higher before I swing out of some other things. But I don't know. We'll see what he says. So Big Bear here, this is still a situation where, there hasn't really been any new news since the last news with Big Bear, and that was pretty much the Nashville airline deal, and two, them getting some more big investment firms to buy into them. So yeah, it's a really interesting situation right now. But I kind of think, Big Bear's had some really great defense deals this year, really great. But I do think this Navy deal is something that we could see escalate more. When we talk about the different segments of where they're at working with defense corners, and that's one thing we've seen even with Palantir, where they get many defense deals, but there's like these different doors of defense, wherever they're needed. So Big Bear, I do think that I just have to be in this space where I think Big Bear is going to find more of these defense deals. But two, I think there's a good, very strong, maybe even stronger possibility that what we've seen really kind of turn into this little thing this year, really turn to this big thing with these airline deals. I think these airline deals, we could just see more of these pop up. My hope, right now is that Big Bear can, keep this at the lowest $4, high, or $5 range the rest of this year, but obviously too, stay somewhere in the $5 to $8 range. Now, with this next quarterly coming up, like I said, I would highly recommend, at least get your initial investment out of Big Bear, because as of right now, I don't know that they're going to clear $40 million in revenue. I just don't know. That is so much money that they have not made in years at this point. So now they've done well this year. They've done very well, very well. But with that last quarterly Q2, I think a lot of us were like, these quarterlies should be decent. Even at that point, I was like, I don't think they're going to pass this quarterly, but it should be somewhere middle ground, meeting, a better place than, where what we've seen here. It's making me stutter. But this one too, I think, is going to be a lot of that. The best case scenario we see with this one is that it just comes as close as it can to meeting expectation. That I think that would be just a better beam. The problem with that Q2 that came out that sunk BigBear from the last $7-8 position it was in, going out of July into August, was that the quarterly was so rancid. It was so rancid, it sunk the whole stock. I mean, it went from like, just hours. I mean, it went from, right into $8 to low 7, middle 6, 5 within 48 hours. And then we were, playing around the low $5 going into $4, by the next week. So I think that scenario is very possible again. But I think with that too, not to be so negative, that we could just see this roundabout, just this circle continue with BigBear until it continues to find better revenue. And that's the thing. It's BigBear's it's so manipulative with your mind, because it comes out with a bad quarterly, then it gets more deals, then it's still finding new places of business. It's still, and when you talk about government contracts, they're so juicy to investors. They're so juicy because, they last for a long time. They come here, there in clumps, and, it's something that you just can see continue here. So, that's why I think a lot of people are just sitting here with BigBear like, God, this stock is just really messing with me mentally. Like, I want to be done with it, but and a lot of people sold out of BigBear right after that Q2, either for profit or at a loss, and they were like, I'm done with this stock. I can't. I can't do anything else with it. And at that point, I was like, I know, I get this, but I wasn't shocked that people were doing that. But it's a situation of, well, okay, BigBear's back in this slump again. Wasn't there for long, and then, hey, they got another deal. Hey, now these investment firms are buying up large amounts of BigBear. Why are they doing that? So it has put BigBear right back up into this 7 looking for $8 range. It's very interesting what's going on over here with it. So, yeah, I mean, it's fun to watch. I love a stock that's highly manipulated. I love a stock that's a lot of expectation, a lot of what if could happen here. I love this stuff. I really do. And, think the most positive thing I'll say, and I'll end on BigBear with this. I've said this, but, imagine if BigBear can go into 2026, capturing at least as many deals as they've captured this year, but double that. And, that would be changing for them as a company. That would be really interesting to see how they could transform their company. It'd be good for them, obviously, and it would put them in this different tier system of stocks, 100%. But it's weird because we're seeing a lot of companies now. We're seeing AI companies merge with other AI companies, work with AI companies, and it feels like more of that's going to happen here. And Nvidia's out there spending money like crazy. They are, they're partnering with, and that's something Nvidia's been doing. They've been partnering with, they find smaller AI stocks that they find interesting and that are doing good things, and they'll invest in them, they'll work with them, and Richtech, great example of that. So I don't know that that's going to happen with BigBear, but something like that would be amazing. And obviously a lot of people, they want to see BigBear and they want to see Palantir work together. I don't know that that's going to happen. I think Palantir obviously is partnering and working with so many other big. Palantir's got so many big contracts on the table. I mean, they're working with huge players right now. The United States government, NATO, they obviously broke off into this European market, and they're talking about world market, but just captured that new deal with Boeing. I mean, I can go on. I wasn't even going to talk about Palantir, but I can talk about Palantir all day. I am a freakazoid with Palantir. I think it's just so interesting. So, Yeah, I mean, good. It's just a good day with Big Bear. I love to see a good, healthy day with Big Bear, and this is one of those days. So very interesting. All right, Richtech. Boy, oh boy, pre-market was on fire. Pre-market was pushing well over $7. I mean, it was going crazy. Now, I know a lot of people, I saw comments, I was like, what are people doing? What are people like thinking here with Richtech? And, my prediction with Richtech, we've hit $5, we've hit $6 was pretty much like, I think $6 is pretty much, that's we've seen that already. It's pretty much, that's possible. Well, it's hit $6. 7 here, it touched 7. So what does that tell me? Well, it tells me that people are willing to pay $7 today. And they did. Some people bought it at $7. Now, I know a lot of people sold Friday and they took profit. And I think I think some of those people probably got caught today because the pre-market volume for this was out of control. I mean, this stock was, it was like a dam having water go over it. I mean, it was like, oh my God, what's about to happen when the gate opens here? But a lot of it fell short here and a lot of people took profit, obviously. So I think that's kind of what happened today. You saw a lot of people take profit when this thing hit an all-time high at 7 and some change here, low 7. Then at that, when it sat there for a split second, people started buying up at $7. Well, people started buying up at this high $6 position. So with that being said, we saw Richtech really survive the day. I mean, this was not a plummet. This was not like, oh, she's going down. This wasn't a Titanic moment. This was like, it pretty much just held its ground today. And even after market here, this thing shot back up into the, 660s. So, obviously, I would highly expect that in the morning, we'll kind of have a repeat of volume here more than not. I think the overall market is showing that. It's very weird because the last time this is like a repeat of what happened 2 weeks ago when the Feds talked last time. So that Monday, 2 weeks ago, I think it was 2 weeks ago, the market that Monday was going crazy. It was a lot crazier than this. I mean, we saw stocks go freaking nuts. But then that Tuesday came and they did the same thing. And then the Fed's talk, Jerome came out, and that's when Jerome said that stuff on a late Tuesday, and it sunk the whole market into the whole week. So that kind of could be what's occurring right now. I don't know, because this is going to be a very different meeting, what we're about to see tomorrow. So I'm hopeful that they will simply say good news that things are on track for the next rate cut at the end of October. That's what I'm hopeful that he'll say. And he will say nothing else about the market being too high, AI comments. I hope he says nothing like that. But obviously, this is what we have to deal with right now. So talk about Richtech, and this is the thing too, talking about, people taking profit. There's nothing wrong with taking profit. Listen, this stock is incredibly overpriced right now. This company is, obviously, the positive here is that, yes, they're getting a lot of attention. They just signed a big old deal here, and that will obviously show improvement, on the next quarterly. That will be here in January. But that's good and bad. That's a long time to wait, but it's also leaving time for a lot of, FOMO. It's leaving this gap in between right now and January where, Richtech here is just kind of allowed to do what it wants to do. And with that, that's the dangerous part with it, because, it can do what it's doing right now. High manipulation. It doesn't make sense. Okay, whatever. We've seen this time and time again. A lot of examples right now are with this, what Big Bear's gone through. Richtech, it's in you've got Jensen, the CEO of Nvidia, out here talking about Richtech, partnering, working. People are paying attention. I think I've said this, but I mean, it's where my brain's at right now, where I think we're seeing a mutation in the market. I definitely think we're seeing a mutation of what's coming here, the next phase of the market into next year, the year after that, where, what are people looking at right now with society? What are people looking at right now with the market? And I think a lot of the conversation obviously is robotics. I think that, we've gone through chips, we've gone through software, security. We're still heavily in that, and chips obviously are still very much in that equation. But all of that stuff fits into the conversation of robotics. And I think that is a lot of what we're seeing. Listen, Richtech is not the best robot company out there. I mean, there's other startup companies. There's other ones that have bigger, better deals that are making more money. The thing that is attracting attention here is like the things I said. It's cheap. It's getting talked about. They're based in Las Vegas. They're already through a lot of hotels, and there's plenty of money to be made there just in their, the bread and butter of where they're at right now in Las Vegas, but expanding too. So I think I don't look at the future and I go like, I wonder if this robotic thing will work. I look at the future and I go, well, it's definitely it's happening. There's no way to stop it. I mean, just like look at what's going on now with tech every 6 months. It's like it's increasing. It's getting crazier. So I think Richtech is just doing exactly what a lot of us figured it would do. It's running, and I think there's obviously a place here where this could just get a lot more manipulated, or there's a place here where this kind of just sails back down. But it's going to have to sell down on bad news. And what the bad news right now is, I don't know. Richtech is essentially just this little beast right now that keeps getting fed with possibilities, FOMO. And it's following the market. And the market's running, and it's taking the low cap stocks with it. Richtech. So tomorrow will be an interesting situation to see what is going to be said. Which way is the market going to go? That will determine a lot more what we're dealing with the rest of this week here. So, yeah, I mean, friends, obviously, for God's sakes, take profit if you need to take profit. I don't think Richtech, unless they sign some magnificent deal here, I don't think this is like a situation like I don't want to lose it. I don't want to miss what's going to happen here. There's bound to be a massive sell-off here. But in that next sell-off, this could be a place too where, we start to see phase 3 be built up here. Not even really, it'll be like phase 4 because we've already had 1, 2, we pretty much just went through the third here last week and a little bit today. Essentially today was it was like the third phase. I mean, it broke into $7, whichever way you slice the pie today, it broke into $7. So that was amazing. And I think we'll see $7 again here very soon. The big question is right when these stocks that, in BigBear's obviously famous for this too, it's always right there where that $6, $7, $8 range, those are always the places where stocks start to run out of steam. They start to run out of steam if there's not enough to back up more of just a feeding frenzy coming in here. So that's why, if Richtech flowed up to, pushed up to, $7, $8, I wouldn't be shocked. I'm more or less expecting it, but with that, there will be a collapse in this because I'm gonna tell you what, if this thing runs to $8, people are going to sell because at that point, what does that tell you? It tells you everyone's going to be in profit range and everyone is going to be in massive profit range. But there's a lot of people that have been here since under $1, $2, even $4 just days ago, even $5 just days ago. Even if you're able to buy a few hundred shares of a stock like this at 5 and some change, and then it runs up to $7 within 48 hours, that's a pretty big push right there for any general investor right there. Okay, just somebody that's just doing a little bit of swing trading, okay? Now imagine people that are holding, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 shares, at, $2, $3, $4, $5, maybe even $5, $6 in today. I mean, that's a pretty big push right there too. So, yeah, we haven't seen the pushback yet. Today, yes, there was pushback, but I mean, there was no red today. This was a pretty huge day for Richtech, if I do say so myself. So I don't think the swing traders and the day traders done with it. I think they're still here looking at it. They're playing with it. Even after hours here, it got aggressive again, and I expect that to continue. So, yeah, friends, I'm excited. Be excited. There are so many plays in this market. It is crazy. And it's just I love seeing the AI thing continue to work, because I mean, listen, I have friends that like I talk to. I mean, this is an argument with, you have other friends where this is a huge argument. I mean, it even, even if people don't invest, it's a huge conversation right now. Like, the market's running, but where's, people are broke, but where's the market going? Is this a bubble? And it's obviously a bubble, but it doesn't mean it's going to pop next week. And two, for this bubble to pop, what do we need to see? Well, obviously for this bubble to pop, we need to start seeing a lot of these tech stocks struggle financially, and we are not seeing that. Okay, we're not seeing that. What we are seeing is a reallocation of money being put into, they're working with each other, trying to strengthen each other too. So it's just it's a weird place. It's a weird place, but it's somewhere that we are at right now as a community of investors. So, friends, I wish all of you the best of luck. I really do mean that, and I will talk to you soon. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.